How far should the Bill of Rights be reduced for protection of the homeland, if at all?
This is a good question, and it relates. We can go way back in history. In fact, we can go back to the Roman Empire, and we can go to Germany in the 1920s and the 1930s, and we can see examples throughout history where the people were told that they had to give up their rights in order to be better protected. And in every case, it led to a disastrous result. My opponent speaks of the term fascism. Well, that, when you start giving up your rights, succumbing to the politics of hatred and fear, that's when you start sliding down that slippery slope to fascism, ultimately. I've said it before, I'll say it again, that sacrificing our civil liberties will not compensate for the incompetence of the Bush administration. And allowing our country to slip toward fascism is not a reasonable way of preventing terrorism.
It's a false dichotomy to say that you have to have either the protection of your rights or the protection of this nation. And I think they're right. There's nothing that we have done, not a single thing that we have done that even comes close to what the doctor was talking about. The fact of the matter is, we had an opportunity to review that. I'm a member of the subcommittee and the committee on the judiciary, which looked at the Patriot Act, for instance. We had to look and see how it was well, I make no apology whatsoever for defending this nation. I make no apology for defending my children, my grandchildren. I make no apology for working for 2 years to try and ensure that we both protect our civil liberties and we protect our lives. We have an Inspector General for the Justice Department charged with the responsibility of looking at every single presumed claim of a violation of civil liberties as a result of the Patriot Act, both its enactment and its application. Could not find a single one. We looked at it in our committee, could not find a single one. They looked at it in the Intelligence Committee, could not find a single one, both in the House and the Senate. However, we added 22 protections for civil liberties into that law just in case. And then what happened? We passed it in the House, and over on the Senate side, they subjected it to a filibuster, and they thought they'd killed it. And the Democratic leader of the Senate, Senator Reid, went out and gleefully said, "We have killed the Patriot Act," as if that were a great thing. Well, believe me, the 9/11 Commission said the greatest single thing that we did not have in this country was an ability to connect the dots before 9/11. The Patriot Act allows us to do that, and I will defend that time and time again. I am not here to violate the Constitution. We work very hard to make sure that is not done, but you don't have to sacrifice civil liberties to protect this nation.
The possibility of hijacking and leading to some disaster was considered well before September 11th. And to give credit across both sides of the aisle, I believe it was a Democrat who headed the commission that decided it'd be too expensive to put locks on the doors of the cockpits. We now know that Condoleezza Rice was told specifically by George Tenet and the CIA that al-Qaeda plans to attack us. We know that George Bush, while on vacation, was told, I believe it was August the 6th, that Osama bin Laden plans to attack in the United States. What did he do? He stayed on vacation. The dots should have been connected, could have been connected with the existing law. We don't, again, need to revoke our right to privacy in order to compensate for the incompetence of the Bush administration.
I'd like to have one example of where we have violated the civil liberties of anybody as a result of the Patriot Act. Secondly, it is really interesting when some people think they have more to fear from their own government than al-Qaeda. I understand you may feel that way, but frankly, I'm sorry that you do. Democrats and Republicans worked together in the House of Representatives for the passage of the Patriot Act. We worked together to be able to create a law with respect to FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, to make sure that we can continue to listen in on conversations between al-Qaeda operatives, affiliates, and people in the United States. We've worked hard to have a new military tribunal so that we do set out exactly what the terms are for interrogating suspects that we have, and then we granted them 26 specific rights that are not given to them under other systems around the world. We are fighting terrorists. We're doing it with an eye towards protecting your civil liberties and mine, and we are in fact doing it better than any other country in the world.